And now, it's time for another Dice Tower review with the Game Boy Geek.
Hello my friends, it's the Game Boy Geek here. Kickstarter last year, a big co-op game came out that swept the airwaves there, Police Precinct, and I obviously have done a review of this game before. You probably heard us talk about it a lot on the Dice Tower. Well, there's a new thing coming up for this in about April 1st, around there, this thing called The Kit, and it's sort of an expansion that has some mini expansions and some other things. It has quite a bit of stuff in there, so let's check it out. I'm going to show you everything that comes in this kit and show you what I think at the end. We'll see you on the other side. Okay, the kit will have a first edition and a second edition. The only difference is the first edition comes with the new rulebook. The second edition won't, because essentially you'll already have the new rulebook with the second edition of Police Precinct when it comes out later this year. So the first thing you get is this nice, really updated new rulebook, which is amazing compared to what the old rulebook was. Just to show you a little side-by-side comparison, this used to be the setup instructions. It was like reading block text versus this, which gives very good descriptions and ways to look at things. And you know, you look at the first couple of pages in the old book and you just got, you know, a couple of pictures but a lot of text to read. It was really hard to get through with the old rulebook. With the new rulebook, it is gorgeous. The fonts are different, things are bolded, things are pointed out. It's just a beautiful new rulebook that's been redone, and this is one of the first things that you get in the kit. Also, towards the end, it actually has some information about all the different event cards and how they work. And then towards the end, there's also a special thing about the Dirty Cop section, which looks like crumpled up paper. It's just really good. And then on the back, of course, they have a whole index with the different types of things, which makes things easy to find. And then on the back, obviously, it's like a little player aid. But this beautiful rulebook is a huge upgrade from the old rulebook, because if you don't play this game too often, when you come back to it and you try to set it up again, you will struggle through the old rulebook, and this will take that away, and it's gorgeous. The next thing the kit comes with is the expansion, the mini expansion called The Heat. Now, I've already done a full review on The Heat, so if you want to see more detail about The Heat, go look for my review on it. Essentially what it does is it adds two different types of cards that can help you, that go to the police station. Essentially anytime that the crime track goes up, or anytime you get a donut, you get to roll a die, and if you roll a 5 or 6, each of these cards are going to come out, and you can get them later. So you have these people that can cruise around with you, for example, a special agent. And then once per game, regardless of your location, during phase 2 of your turn, the special agent allows you to successfully handle any emergency in any location and receive all applicable rewards. This is huge. It costs a donut, so you would need to start or end your turn at the police station to get any of these cards and then pay the cost. If you want to get one of these cards while you're moving through the police station, you just pay an extra donut. So that's how these cards sort of work. And another crime lab technician. Once during the game at any point, anytime player's turn, regardless of your location, the crime lab technician will allow you to look at the top 5 investigation cards in the deck and then return them back on top in any order. So those are the types of things that these help you to do. Then there's also equipment you can get with the Heat, which essentially roll 2 extra dice when you attempt to arrest a member of the street gang, and you have a camera which essentially draw an extra card when investigating, and you don't need to shuffle the deck afterwards if you don't want to. Again, the cost is 1 donut. So that's pretty much what the Heat was all about. Again, if you want to see more details, watch my review of it. So the next thing that comes is a mini expansion called Rioting Gangs. The first thing that comes with Rioting Gangs is a compass to fix. It's a sticker that you put on the board to fix the incorrect compass on the first edition board. And there's a replacement card for the car theft, which had the wrong directions on it because the compass was wrong. So it fixes the compass and it fixes the car theft card, which is cool. Then we get into Rioting Gangs. These are essentially emergencies that start with street punks. So essentially this is a red emergency. And they goes at the crime scene parking lot in block 4, but you have to put 3 street punks on here, and those punks have to be arrested before you can handle the emergency of a difficulty 5. Ooh, it's punks, then an emergency. And there's one of those for different colors. So we got a blue one, we've got a yellow one. Essentially the same thing. You put in 3 punks, you're putting them in a specific spot, like in this case the morgue, and that's a difficulty of 4. This is a difficulty of 3 with blue. That's what Rioting Gangs sort of is. Then there's some additional types of event cards. For instance, the Homicidal Maniac, intersection of 2nd and Colfax. You have to place this card, which is a maniac, on the board, and then you roll essentially after each player's movement, and they will move up, down, left, or right, north, south, east, or west, depending on what they roll. And he only, he's sitting in the intersections. He doesn't block traffic. You can kind of go through them. But to apprehend him, you must be at an adjacent street and discard a donut. Until this occurs, players shall not receive police cards for any reason. So that's an event card, an ongoing one that's really a pain in the butt. We have budget cuts, which essentially allows you to pick one of 3 terrible things. Overtime, secretly look at the next 4 events, shuffle 2 cards back in the deck, then activate the other 2 immediately. Ooh. So you can pick which is your 2, but man, at least you get a choice. Vehicle maintenance for the rest of the game. Prior to your move, if you roll a 6, no movement happens that phase. And in the community outreach, add 3 punks to random bad hoods by rolling a die. So you get to pick one of the 3 bad things that happen to you. Caught in the act. Good news. Hey, actually, it's a good event for a change. We've received some help from community. Current player decides from which bad hood to remove 1 street punk. Wow, you actually get a good card from an event. Imagine that. Street collapse. In this case, the Vassal Avenue and easternmost street space, basically they're near Jake's pawn shop, is basically shut down, and nobody can go through it pretty much for the rest of the game. And then we have the Dirty Bomb, which is at South 3rd Street, essentially. And so this is essentially a terror cell. So to disable the southmost street sign of 3rd Street, treat it like a difficulty 5 emergency, which is really hard. That's why it's purple. And it must be handled in the next 4 turns or everybody loses. Essentially, you put 4 donuts on there. Every turn you take a donut off. If you don't handle this level 5 emergency, essentially the game ends for you guys. Dirty Bomb is really tough. That's the Rioting Gangs. The last thing is what's called the Madmen promo. These were promo cards that were given out to, I think, some of the Kickstarter backers. Essentially, it's a new color, purple color of emergencies, and they're all extremely hard. They're all 5s or 6s. So we have a chainsaw, wielding lunatic for a 5 emergency, a pyromaniac of 5, angry employee with a rifle at 6, brute with a shotgun of 6, brute with a rocket launcher at 6, and a madman with a bomb. All these are very hard. At least it's a new color, so it might help you from getting too many other urgent things going on, but man, these are hard. So to summarize, you get a new booklet, you get the Heat expansion, you get the Madmen promo deck, and you get the Rioting Gangs mini expansion, and that is called Police Precinct: The Kit. It should be out in about April of this year. All right, well, if you've seen my review of Police Precinct and you've watched my review of The Heat, the expansion, which I have exclusively reviewed by itself, you'll probably know what I'm going to say about this, as if you are a Police Precinct fan and you're looking for something to make the game fresh, make the game new, add a little bit to it, this obviously will do it. Is it a must-have? Of course not. I don't think so. It's not an absolute must-have. But if you're a fan of the game, and I think this is going to go for about 25 bucks, to get the new rulebook, the fixed board, a fixed card, and 2 mini expansions and the promo pack, I think that's a pretty good deal. Because it will add some variability. I think out of the 2 expansions, I think the Heat actually adds more strategy of going to the police station, putting in the donuts, taking those people with you, having those strategies. That adds more depth to the game. The Rioting Games, it does add some event cards. It makes things harder, maybe 8 event cards or somewhere around there. And it will add some variability to the game, but the Heat, I think, adds even more than Rioting Games does. But you put those 2 together, you get some fixes, and you get a really nice new rulebook. And if you're a fan of Police Precinct and you're looking to add some new stuff, this is a no-brainer. If you already have the Heat, this might be a toss-up, whether you wanted to spend the extra money, because if you already have the Heat, then you're spending 25 bucks on stuff that you don't even have. If you don't have any expansions, I think it's a great deal. If you already have one, is the rulebook worth it? Is the Rioting Games alone worth it? Maybe not, but if you don't have any of the expansions yet, buy the kit, and I think it's a good addition to a game if you've already liked it.
Thanks so much for watching the Dice Tower videos. Find more great videos and reviews, as well as our top-rated audio podcast at Dicetower.com. You can also find other great shows at Dicetowernetwork.com. I'm Eric Summerer, and you've been watching The Dice Tower. The Dice Tower is sponsored by Cool Stuff Inc., where you can find great games for great prices. Cool stuff in stock. Check them out at CoolStuffInc.com.